A client that's been in my world for over 10 years picked up the phone and called me this past week because he got he gets many newsletters each month. I think he has a dozen or 2 dozen or 3 dozen. He doesn't even know how many pick of the week or pick of the month newsletters that he subscribes to, but he loves reading them. He appreciates the research behind it. He loves investing, and even though he almost never uses their picks, he really appreciates just reading, and he loves reading them. So he sent me this one newsletter, and the theme was kind of the year ahead. And this one newsletter editor was talking about the 3 things you have to do to become a better investor. There's only 3 things to do to become a great investor. And he pointed out he didn't even need to point out the point to me that it would trigger me the most, but I want to share that with you. And one of this newsletter's points was, you've got to learn how to manage your emotions. And I thought, really? Because that's never going to happen. I'm R.C. Peck. This is my weekend podcast, and this is the thought that I want to share with you. Can you really learn to manage your emotions? And my answer is, you don't have a chance in the world of investing to manage your emotions. At best, you can recognize them. But what I want to share with you is how you can maybe better separate them, because you're never going to be able to manage your emotions. You're always going to be some crazy wild animal when it comes to investing, because our brain just doesn't get long-term investing. It doesn't even get short-term investing. So I think the idea of managing your emotions or learning to manage your emotions, I think, are a complete waste of time, because I don't think you have a chance. And I want to show you, I want to give you an example with a real-life investment that I made and my clients made, and it was with Apple. And here you see a price chart of Apple. It goes back to 2004, where Apple was selling for about $15 a share. And then if you can see upper right part of this price chart, it's selling for about $550 a share. Well, there's a vertical line on the screen. I want to talk about that vertical line, and I also want to kind of zoom in on this price chart. But what I wanted to first do was zoom out and just show you, hey, from 2004 to right now, that's the price chart of Apple. It's been going from lower left to upper right with some corrections throughout it, but that's generally what it's been looking like. So back in June, July of last year, 2013, I noticed that Apple fell 45%. So I just figured, what's the probability of it falling another 25%? I mean, here's probably one of the better run companies in the world, one of the best brands in the world. It just fell 45%. I would say I don't care, but the only thing I care about is that I couldn't find a reason why it fell 45%. And so I added it to one of the strategies I used called Obvious Trend. And the reason I added it to it is because I just looked at the probability of, really, was I going to lose 25% if I bought this? Meaning, if I bought this stock at $385, $400, $410, and would it really fall another 25%? Now, I will say emotionally, I got lots of pushback from followers and people in my world that said, well, why would you buy Apple? Apple's going out of business, and Samsung's going to eat their lunch and is eating their lunch, and Apple, they're too big of a company to ever really grow again, and their best days are behind them, blah, blah, blah. Steve Jobs is dead. Tim Cook doesn't have the same vision as Steve Jobs does, and on and on and on. All this story, all this emotion, all this opinion. I said, well, here's a company still in its uptrend. It's pulled back 45%. Stock market didn't fall 45%. And so I made it a math equation. I said, if you buy it and you lose another 25%, will that sink my future? Will that sink my year? And if you have a $100,000 portfolio and you put 4% of your money in an individual stock, which is my minimum suggestion, that's $4,000 of the $100,000. And if you risk that $4,000, specifically risk 25% of it, so now we're not even risking the 4%, we're risking one of the 4%. Could your portfolio survive that? And from a math equation, the answer is yes. Emotionally, there should be no emotions, because it's like, yeah, I can lose 1% of my portfolio and be okay. So from a math point of view, very clean. From a human emotional point of view, it was crazy. It can't do it. It's fallen so much. And so a lot of people didn't buy Apple. Well, as you fast forward, this is the price chart of Apple today from that vertical line. It's up. It's up from that low, that double low there of about 390. I got in about 410, 420, and it's up, 550-ish. Now, it didn't have to go up, okay? The point is that it felt really bad buying then. And my point to you is it will always, always, always feel bad buying, always feel bad selling. Emotions will never be on your side. And that's why what you want to notice is forget you ever trying to manage your emotions. The best thing you could ever do is find a procedure like Obvious Trend, which is up about 80% over the last 4 years, while the stock market's up 63%, which is pretty darn good considering the market's basically been running straight up. And we've honed very few shares in here in the Obvious Trend. But the key behind Obvious Trend is to have it be mathematically to our benefit and not necessarily emotionally to your benefit or to our benefit. And so when you go and you're noticing and you're trying to become a better investor, which I think is a mistake, do not become a better investor. Just follow a strategy that works. Pick a strategy that works. Buy a strategy, not a symbol, not a stock. But please, no, do not try to learn to manage your emotions. That is a complete waste of time. Go learn how to play golf or windsurf or kite surf or surf. But please do something else other than learn to manage your emotions, because it's never going to happen. What you want is actually to have a strategy and let the strategy manage the money and make sure it's mathematically clean to buy something or to sell something. And just know that you'll just kind of be a crazy man or a crazy woman when you buy and sell things for the rest of your life. It's not going to change. But the thing is, you don't actually have to expect your emotions to ever change. And if you're waiting for them to, or you're reading more books for them to, it's a waste of time. According to me, that is. I hope you guys have a great weekend. It is the beginning of the year still, even though January is almost over, which is just crazy. But just great things are happening. Gold is moving off its bottom. We'll see if that's a near-term move up, a short-term move up. Was that the bottom that was put in for gold at 1188, which was a double bottom? I'll be watching that. You guys take care. This is RC Peck. And remember, buy strategies, not buy stocks or symbols, to really take control of your wealth, take control of your investing. All right, you take care.